This episode of Jaffa is brought to you by GateWorld. 50 minutes or more can save you 50% on car insurance. To get your quote or free roadside assistance, please visit www.gateworld.com and also by Audible, offering more than a dozen audiobooks for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get your free audiobook, please visit audible.com.
Hi, I'm Christopher Judge, and I'm very excited to tell you about the launch of the new Stargate Command, September 20th. Sign up now, go to stargatecommand.co. Okay, what are you waiting for? Go.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hi, Tom Bodette. Motel 6's new improved website lets you book a room and save more for what you travel for faster than ever. Even faster than you can find your keys, which you swore were right on the little hooky thing by the garage door where they always are, and we can land a robot on a comet, but we can't keep keys from disappearing. Oh, here they are. Left them in my jacket. Don't you hate that? I'm Tom Bodette for the new improved Motel6.com, and we'll leave the light on for you.
I can save these people! Help me!
Many have said that. But you are the first I believe could do it.
General Hammond, this is Tavyk. He can help us.
You know what he is?
Yes, sir, I do. He's the man who saved our lives. And if you accept my recommendation, sir, you'll join us.
Hey everyone, I am finally back. Welcome to the 13th episode of Jaffa. I'm your host, Seth Daniel Stewart. Let me tell you, it has been a long time. Actually, it's been a few months since I last worked on a Jaffa episode. But I am finally back to action. Thank God. I apologize for not making any new episodes of Jaffa lately. I've just been busy with family and personal life, and I haven't been able to work on any new episodes of Jaffa. So now I am finally back. Today, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the Stargate SG-1 episode 1969. And before we get into that, we have something from GateWorld.net about Richard Dean Anderson returning to Stargate.
In August 2018, at the Fan Expo convention in Toronto, Canada, Stargate SG-1 fans heard the words they've been dying to hear for many, many years. Richard Dean Anderson, who played Colonel Jack O'Neill in Stargate SG-1, is up for a potential return to the Stargate franchise, should a worthy script merit his involvement. When asked by a fan about such an opportunity, Anderson replied, "Yes, immediately I would do that. I was thinking of dropping Brad Wright a note just to see how he was doing, and touch bases with him and see what his status is in all this. He's a brilliant writer. I really respect him a lot." While Anderson's comments could easily be attributed to hopeful musings in an energized convention setting, the greater context is just as important as the quotes themselves. More so than any time in the last decade, new live-action and in-canon Stargate is a real possibility, and with it, the return of Stargate Command heroes like the man himself, Jack O'Neill. So it's been 12 years since Stargate SG-1 finished its run on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it's been over a decade since the last live-action SG-1 adventure was released, that being the direct-to-DVD movie Stargate Continuum. So it's been quite some time since we've checked in with Stargate Command. What have our heroes been up to? Honestly, that's anyone's guess. While licensed Stargate materials like the American mythology comics and Fandemonium novels have captured our imagination and given us a fresh taste of the galactic adventures that we miss so dearly, such properties are not technically canon. When the Stargate franchise went dormant in 2011, and the door closed on any immediate SG-1, Atlantis, or Universe prospects, Stargate's canon essentially went dark, and many loose ends were never resolved. For all we know, Destiny is still in between galaxies, Atlantis is still perched in the San Francisco Bay, and SG-1 is still operating unbeknownst to the Tari public as the Lucian Alliance plots an attack on Earth. In fact, the hope of any real answers in live-action form was almost permanently crushed when MGM greenlit a Stargate reboot trilogy from original creators Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin. Such a move would have seen the existing TV universe disavowed in favor of a brand new set of Stargate movies that A. rebooted the original 1994 film, and B. allowed Emmerich and Devlin to follow through on their original trilogy plans, one they've held since the mid-90s. Both men have vocally regretted not finishing their 3-film Stargate story and saw this as a second chance. Thankfully for fans of the TV shows, that trilogy fell apart back in 2016, and the reboot option itself was permanently shelved. So where does that leave us today? First and foremost, Anderson's comments are significant because the window for an SG-1 reunion is fast closing. Legends may be legends, but they aren't immortal. At some point, even if the actors are still alive, it will be too late to tackle another live-action Stargate SG-1 project. And Anderson addressed these limitations too, stating that, quote, "As far as punching the clock and going to work, I wouldn't mind doing a mini-series of some kind, something that had a clear beginning and end. I would do something along those lines." While a full season of television is admittedly not in the cards, Anderson added that, quote, "In all the series work that I've done, I've enjoyed the process, and I've enjoyed what's happened over a period of time, which is you become familial." He remembered his time on Stargate as being, quote, "surrounded by a group of great people. We all got to like each other and play off each other, and it became a real joy. I wasn't sad to leave, only because I was leaving for an excellent reason." And since his famed departure after the 8th season of Stargate SG-1, Anderson has been in a state of semi-retirement, a choice largely made due to the desire to spend more time with his daughter, Wiley. Future health issues and complications from surgery also kept him sidelined from rigorous full-time work in front of the camera, the kind he had experienced on Stargate SG-1. While he made occasional guest appearances on Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Universe in the late 2000s, those instances were few and far between, and he soon quit acting altogether. His last screen credit was for an episode of Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, which aired in 2013. Although it is worth noting that he did lend his voice to the character of Jack O'Neill once again in the mobile game Stargate SG-1 Unleashed, released in the same year. But let's fast forward several years back to the present. His daughter is now in college and his health is vastly improved. It seems like realistically he might actually be up to the task. He was charismatic and in good spirits at the Fan Expo last month, and he carried a seemingly newfound interest in revisiting Jack O'Neill in the greater Stargate universe. Now, beyond actor availability and fandom nostalgia, is there really a reason for Jack O'Neill to make a return? Quite frankly, there is. Stargate Continuum was never supposed to be the last of Stargate SG-1, or the last of Jack O'Neill for that matter. Upon the heels of Stargate Continuum's successful DVD release in July of 2008, a third Stargate SG-1 movie titled Stargate Revolution was put into development. The story was alleged to be very O'Neill-centric and would deal with a public disclosure of the Stargate program, a massive step for the greater Stargate franchise. Furthermore, producer Joe Malozzi stated in his blog that Revolution would have seen the long-gestating romantic dynamic between Samantha Carter and Jack O'Neill come to fruition. So what went wrong? After 2 well-received DVD movies and a record-breaking 10-season run, why didn't MGM seize the day? Especially with Richard Dean Anderson fronting such an epic Stargate story. Well, to their credit, MGM did jump on the opportunity, but pre-production was short-lived, with the culprit being the economic downturn of 2008. Once the recession settled in, physical media sales plummeted, throwing both film and television distribution markets into disarray. Within a few years, the direct-to-DVD distribution model had all but imploded. Stargate Revolution, along with the Atlantis movie, Stargate Extinction, were victims of this downturn, initially put into a holding pattern, but then permanently shelved when Stargate Universe went off air in early 2011. To complicate matters, the studio also filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2010, affecting not only Stargate, but their Hobbit and James Bond franchises. Their financial woes kept the studio functioning at a reduced capacity for several years, and it resulted in Stargate, an otherwise profitable and sure bet, becoming stuck in the throes of development hell. But the first ray of hope came around in the summer of 2017 when MGM announced it would be launching a brand new digital series titled Stargate Origins, along with a digital distribution platform hand-tailored for the Stargate franchise, the now famous Stargate Command. And, just last month at GateCon 2018, SG-1 co-creator and showrunner Brad Wright, who Richard Dean Anderson referenced in his earlier comments, announced that he's once again talking with MGM about the future of the Stargate franchise. Though the extent of such talks has not been disclosed, representatives of MGM on a variety of occasions have confirmed that various Stargate entities are in development behind closed doors. And again, it's reasonable to assume that all these rumblings are linked to actual conversations of substance that are a part of a greater strategic push to revive the Stargate franchise. Now, as far as O'Neill's potential involvement, it's worth noting that Richard Dean Anderson is not bound to what he said on the convention floor. There are many ways a deal like this could go awry, and an SG-1/Jack O'Neill return certainly isn't the most cost-friendly avenue to take. At the same time, a return of O'Neill and other SG-1 heroes is arguably the most prudent and logical step in restoring the Stargate franchise to its former glory. After all, Stargate became a phenomenon because of the charisma and soul of O'Neill and SG-1, and what better way to usher the franchise into a new era than to look back for one last hurrah with our heroes, using them to introduce a brand new story and fresh relatable characters that will carry the franchise for many years to come, long after Sam and Jack have retired to their lakeside cabin. And speaking of retirement, Anderson comically acknowledged the challenges of returning to an action-adventure franchise like Stargate, even if he ends up behind a desk. Quote, "It takes so much work to get there, and I'm so lazy. I'd want to lose about 25 pounds before I considered it again. I want to look like Carrie Elwes." Or in that case, perhaps Harrison Ford. In the meantime, stay tuned to GateWorld as we look forward to this new era of Stargate, and hope, just hope, that Anderson's comments are a good sign of things to come.
Alright, we're back. Now we're going to be talking about 1969. It is the 21st episode of the second season of Stargate SG-1. The show starts off with Captain Carter compensing for an anomaly that will make SG-1 pass close to the sun on the way to PX-2555, and talking to General Hammond, who asks her about her injury on her hand and gives her a note. And remember the note because it'll be useful in the future. You know what I'm talking about. So anyways, after Carter's modifications, the team goes through the portal and find themselves under a rocket ready to launch. The gate behind them disappears and they realize a countdown is being made. They request the test to be stopped and are arrested for trespassing. Not long after, they realize that SG-1 traveled back to 1969 and all of their equipment is confiscated and they're sent to a jail cell. On the cell, the four of them discuss whether they could time travel to other periods until they are questioned by the officials. It goes as it always does. No one believes in what the time tower says. So, in my favorite part of the episode, O'Neill makes a Star Trek reference, and he's saying that he's Captain Cook of the Starship Enterprise, which is quite funny though. Anyways, we go back to the present Cheyenne Mountain complex, in which we see Hammond is very worried about SG-1, even though he knows exactly what happened, and we cut to the team being transported off-site by 1969 Lieutenant Hammond. The team escapes the transport and recover the equipment with the lieutenant's help and goes through the woods. From there, they get to the other side of the woods and to the highway, on which they get a ride from two hippies. As you know, in the late 1960s, you know, there were a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and there were a lot of hippies that had long hair, you know what I mean? Through the episode, we see them traveling in hippie cheap clothes, which is also another favorite part of mine in the episode, and they used the note Hammond gave them before they left to get home. The note had his handwriting telling his past self to help them and had the date and time of when a solar event would happen, so they could time travel back to the present days. The episode 1969 is fun to watch, not only because it's Stargate, but because it's about time travel. And in some episodes of Stargate SG-1, you see time travel and stuff like that. So this is a personal favorite time travel episode of Stargate SG-1. At least for me, it's cool the fact that they thought carefully about each event to make everything work perfectly. And of course, the appearance of Cassandra in the end is awesome. For those of you who don't know, Cassandra first appeared in the first season, episode 15, Singularity, and is alien. Her people were killed by a bacterial plague and she came to Earth as a child. She was at PX2555 when SG-1 actually reached its destination. Personal note, the appearance of a young Catherine Langford is very interesting because it's the first time I've ever seen her that young, besides Origins. So anyways, after that, you know what happens. SG-1 reaches home, they thank Hammond for the note, and that's about it. Anyways, I would like to thank you all for watching the 13th episode of Jaffa. Once again, I would like to offer my sincerest apologies for not making any Jaffa episodes in the past few months. You know, like I said, that I was busy doing personal things and personal life, you know, focusing on my family and my dad and stuff like that. Anyways, though, I would like to thank you all for watching the 13th episode of Jaffa. If you would like to be a co-host on Stargate Podcast, if you want to join me discussing about Stargate episodes and random Stargate topics regarding SG-1, you can contact me on Twitter at Podcast Stargate, or you can email me at StargatePodcastNetwork@gmail.com. Thank you all so much, God bless, and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Where's Gary?
Saved money on motorcycle insurance with Geico. Going up the country. Later, Gary.
I have a motorcycle.
Wonderful.
Geico Motorcycle. Great rates for great rides.
This woman is laughing because she's listening to a hilarious audiobook on Audible. And this woman is laughing because she's pretending her boss's terrible story is funny. Experience the comedy, not your commute. Go to audible.com to start your free 30-day trial today.
it's over, Jack. No extensions, no reversals, no new hearings. The Stargate will be buried, literally and figuratively.
Sir, if he was on board that replicator ship...
Carter, we don't know anything.
No, sir.
Anything else?
No, sir.
It's another everyday mission to save the galaxy, sir.
Indeed.
Godspeed.